Hello, I am Chris MacDonald, and along with the beautiful Katie Cool, we will be delving into one of the best preserved castles in Scotland and the home of Laird Raymond Morris. We will be learning about how life here affects the lives of the family, the work that goes into its reconstruction, and the rumoured ghosts that roam the halls of Balgony Castle. We began our day of exploration by talking with the Laird of Balgony's only son, Stuart the Younger. Right, so how long have you been here?
30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
It's quite a long time.
Since 1985.
So it's quite a big task you've taken on here.
Oh, it's a huge undertaking. It'll probably see my lifetime out.
All right. Shall we go and have a little seat over there then?
Yeah.
So, what inspired you and your dad to buy a castle?
Well, I actually saw the castle when I was a small boy. I was in the Army Cadet Force, and the van I was travelling in broke down on the road at the other side of the castle. And we were sitting there for over 2 hours while someone was repairing the van. And I went home and I told my father about the castle and said, wouldn't it be great to live there someday? And he said, don't be so silly. But 5 years later, we learned that it was still on the market. So my father and I came down, had a look at the place, and we went back and talked about it, and then we made an offer, and our offer was accepted.
Brilliant.
We've done a considerable amount of work. We moved in November 1985. Well, no one had lived here for 160 years.
Wow.
We did have water and electricity onto the ground floor. The windows had been replaced in the 1970s, but we had to replace 80 panes of glass that had been shot out with air rifles by the locals. We were using 2 bars of a 3-bar electric fire. We couldn't use the 3rd bar because it blew the circuit. And that was supposedly the second coldest winter of the century.
So you did have a little bit of power then, was it electricity?
Electricity was actually brought in by the previous owner in the 1970s. He brought in 3-phase power into the castle, but it was only hooked up on the ground floor.
So did you start your restoration on this sort of main tower here?
Technically, 30 years later, we're still working on the tower. But yes, that was the main part, to get our quarters livable, especially the bathroom. The bathroom only had 3 walls. So as we were living here, we actually had the tradesmen working around us with electrical cables and water pipes all over the place.
So those must be quite a sort of hard few years then.
Well, basically we were camping out.
Yeah.
Quite literally camping out.
Laird Raymond Morris of Balgony and Edergall is one of a kind. Eccentric, very passionate and knowledgeable about his home, and as of filming he is approaching 90 years of age.
We didn't know what to do with it, which we just bought a castle and we moved into it.
And was it quite a lot of work for you coming into the castle and getting it up to a living standard?
Yes, because actually it had been empty for 160 years before we came into it.
Right.
We've had a few very small budget films filmed here. More recently was one called The Fairy Flag, where we had a crew here for 2.5 weeks, and we were transported to Skye because we were acting as Dunvegan Castle. But after that we had Outlander film here, the big American TV series. They used that end of the courtyard, and we had 15 Highland cattle and I think 5 horses at that side of the courtyard. And the room behind me was transformed into an 18th century Great Hall, complete with genuine 18th century furniture. We did end up with some shutters, working shutters, that they made for here and left. And they had made some doors for here, which we also have. Anything that was specifically made for the castle, they left.
We've been on television 22 times, 17 times the radio, and a few hundred times the press abroad. My middle name is published, that's quite good. And on film, we had Outlanders filmed here, and 5 actors and 110 of a crew, quite amazing. There for a week.
Your son mentioned John Craven was here.
Yes.
What was that for?
I think that was a TV episode. I think it was Castles in the Air, something like that.
All right, I think I've seen something like that.
They were around about 3-4 castles, and they were here and there.
And what other sort of activities happen in the castle then?
It's mainly weddings. That's our main business. We restored the chapel 26 years ago,
Right.
And since then we've had 1,230 weddings.
Really?
From just over 40 different countries.
And this will be a good place. So obviously all the grass area will be good for having people out.
Yes, you
after
can
weddings
have
and
the
stuff.
receptions outside, drinks, and obviously plenty of aspects for photographs as well. Well, right in the middle of the courtyard, makes a very good backdrop, and then there's the gallery above my
So
head.
no grooms or brides have fallen down the well then?
No, because there's a grid across it, which conforms to EEC regulations.
Good, excellent.
But we do have a prison. And there are times we have thought about using it, but
behave yourself, Katie.
we haven't quite got round to using it yet.
It's obviously a very beautiful setting, but it's also your home. So how is it having, weddings and people filming and things?
Well, we largely live in the upper floors of the tower. So apart from the kitchen, which is on the first floor, most of our quarters are private. So we can shut them off from anyone that's around.
Fabulous.
This room we're in here, this gets used for weddings as well, was it?
Well, this was the 15th century kitchen. And it was my workshop to start with. It was black as the ace of spades, full of my wonderful junk, and I just a collector of anything and everything. So along comes the daughter-in-law 4 years ago, says, "What about this? My son and I, we hadn't even thought about it, just a room, a dirty old room." So I got thrown out, and I pointed everything. That pointing means filling all the joints with lime mortar. You can't use cement, it's lime and sand, lime mortar. And the whole room took me weeks to do that. And the first coat of lime wash. So now we have a new room for entertaining we didn't even thought of.
Well, that could obviously generate revenue for the castle.
It's all part X. We're always increasing the city, what we have here. So you get married in the chapel next door, have your meal upstairs in the great hall, and then the entertainment.
So
Ceilidh functions, discos in here.
Disco, yeah.
So we don't have any neighbours to worry about the noise.
That's right, yeah. So you can be as loud as you want.
So what we're purveying now is a living history that we've researched, and you don't want to live here. It's too many problems. But you'd like to hire it for a few hours, like a window of history, with no responsibilities, and then walk away from it. And that seems to be working now.
Do you find anybody that has a function here? Do they dress up in the period?
Some people have been dressed for weddings, are they historical ones or famous ones, or national dress, different countries. They come from almost 40 different foreign countries.
Wow.
When that happens, we offer to fly their flag over the gatehouse.
All right.
Oh, lovely.
These doors are amazing. Are they?
Well, my father's carved 15 so far.
Oh wow.
2 of them are outside, and all the rest are interior doors.
So unique to the castle.
Oh yeah,
then.
very much so, yeah.
Must have quite a range of chisels.
Well, he's been carving for a long time, so he does have quite a vast array of chisels.
So these look very interesting up on the wall. Can you tell us a little bit about these?
Oh, these are called funeral hatchments, which is a form of funeral heraldry.
Right.
Started in the late 16th century, very popular in the 17th and 18th centuries. Died out in the 19th century, although there has been a revival for their use in recent years.
And who made these particular ones?
Well, I did the central one, and then I did the drawings for the other 2, and my father finished them. So we tend to do things between us.
Yeah.
But the hatchment itself tells a story. Imagine it being cut down the middle. As you look at it, the left-hand side represents the husband, and the right-hand side represents the wife. So if the husband was dead and the wife was alive, the background on this side would be black and the other side would be white. If the wife was dead and the husband was alive, it would be in the reverse order. But obviously in these cases both people are dead, so the complete background is black. And these developed when people were largely illiterate, so they could look at it and see instantly what the funereal situation was. These were actually carried as part of the funeral procession, and then would be hung up in the church afterwards. So that one's actually my grandparents, my mother's parents. The one here we painted to commemorate the first Earl of Leven, who was probably the most famous laird to be in Balgownie, and the other one is his great-grandson, the third Earl of Leven, was also a very important individual. You can see the complete story there, because my mother died in 2014, and obviously my father's still alive as you're interviewing him. Otherwise it'd be rather difficult to interview him. So as you can see, my father's half is white and my mother's half is black.
And so the chapel itself, does it get much use in the community, or is it just for weddings that you...
Well, we restored the chapel 26 years ago, and from the very moment that we restored the chapel, we decided that we'd hold public services here. So we hold one public service a month, which is always the third Sunday of the month at 6:30. But obviously the Christmas service, well, the December service is always a Christmas carol service. And normally it's standing room only through there, but it's full house.
Yeah.
We can easily get 100 or more for a carol.
Always your father that holds the service, or have you ever done
It originally started off with the local parish minister, and she did every single service until she retired. But my father generally does most of the services now. I've tried to keep out of that one, although I do readings.
Yeah, so it's very popular in the community then.
Oh yes. We've got a regular number of people that come to it, and sometimes we get tourists here as well. We've had people from America and Germany come to the service.
Yeah. We noticed at the chapel, didn't we? We saw the doors, the nice carved doors, and your son said that you've actually done all those.
It's a self-taught hobby of mine, it's just wood carving, just a fascination, and I just, before Christmas, finished door number 15.
How long does it take you to do a door then?
Depends how many interruptions I get.
Yeah.
Basically, about a month, something like that.
Well, that's quite quick then.
Not all the time, just when I feel like it. And it's just fascination, it's therapy.
It's been a very interesting and insightful day. Myself and Katie are very thankful to Laird Raymond Morris and Stuart for having us here today and talking with us. There is one more thing I wanted to show you, Katie. Well, we're now in Balgonie's little prison. It's very cold in here. It's very small. There used to be one guard, and he would look after anybody that was in the prison in there. So, it's very nice. Nice and comfortable. It's even got its own running water, own built-in plumbing. Anyway, goodbye.
Wait, you can let me out now. I think there's spiders in here. Come back. Come back.